Hello everyone, today is 13th of December, now it's 15 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. Although before I start, let me notice, dear friends, that yesterday evening I published a second news update on YouTube and Rumble channels, and because I'm not going to repeat news that I talked about in that update, if you are interested, please check that video. And well, that's been said, let's go through some news now. And of course, first of all, breaking news for this moment, which is that according to Russian media outlets, Russian armed forces conducted and still continue to conduct large-scale, more or less large-scale, long-range missile strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime. I shared information about it on my Telegram channel this morning and Twitter X. So according to several sources, Russian armed forces carried out precise missile and drone strikes early this morning on the military and logistical infrastructure of the Zelensky's regime in Kiev, Kremenchuk, Poltava, Odessa, Kirovograd, Cherkasy, and there are several other directions. Missile strike continues. So a number of missiles, according to latest reports, are still in the air and will reach their targets in upcoming minutes. I guess one may ask, is this retaliatory strike for recent ATACMS strike on Russian Taganrog city, when formerly Kiev regime, in reality US military personnel, tried to destroy military airfield in Taganrog. If we zoom in, dear friends, I can show you, this is the airfield that was target for that 6 ATACMS missiles that were launched the early hours of 11th of December. And my answer is, or my reading of the big picture is that no, current Russian long-range missile and drone strikes are not the retaliation for that ATACMS strike on Taganrog, because I believe this operation was pre-planned by, or preparations for these long-range strikes was started by Russian militaries, Russian general staff, way before 11th of December. And in any case, this missile strike, as I said in my previous updates, any type of strikes on Kiev controlled territory not gonna deter Western ruling class from further escalation, right? And therefore, of course, it is highly unlikely that because of current, for example, Russian missile and drone strikes, Western ruling class will stop authorizing long-range strikes with ATACMS, Storm Shadows, and Scalp PGs to destroy targets inside Russia, right? Only way Russia really can deter Western ruling class if action is taken against military assets of the countries that are participating in these strikes, which is in case of ATACMS missiles is US, in case of Storm Shadow is UK, in case of Scalp PGs is France, right? Until military assets of these countries are intact, until Western ruling class feels no pressure, they're not gonna de-escalate. And unfortunately, as I said in my previous updates, and I spoke about it in yesterday's episode of News of the Day on my Patreon and Boosted channels also, I think it is immensely crucial to deter Western ruling class right now, and some strong actions to be taken by Russia. Otherwise, if we right now are facing these long-range drone and missile strikes, then we as Russia, in 3 to 5 months time, maybe even earlier than that, all of us may face risk that one of these drones that Kiev regime is launching towards Russia with NATO assistance, or one of these missiles that, yet again, formerly Kiev regime is launching with NATO assistance, may be tipped with atomic bomb. That is my fear, by the way. That's what I'm worrying about, big time, right? Because of course, in that case, everything will change, and very fast, right? And my take on this situation. I believe I grew up, by the way, in journalism, right? I spent about 30 years in this field, and therefore I'm recognizing patterns when I see them. I recognize when narrative is being created. I can see it straight away, and that's why I was saying for quite a while now that Western ruling class is working on this new narrative that Kyiv regime has a potential to become a nuclear armed, and that's why Western officials or public figures or media outlets were, increase, start talking about possibility of Kyiv regime becoming nuclear more often. This is not a random stuff, isn't it? This is a new narrative that is created, and if Russian leadership thinks that you know what, let's wait until 20th of January and then we will see what is going to happen, well, it might be too late. For 20th of January, it might be too late, because Kyiv regime may declare that they already have atomic bombs tomorrow, at any time, even before 20th of January. Right? And I believe NATO member states, US and UK, potentially France, already involved to provide Kyiv regime with all the necessary expertise and potentially radioactive materials that are necessary to build nuclear weapons, to build at least basic atomic bombs, or dirty bombs as they also are called, in a Kyiv-controlled territory. Although, by the way, I would not be surprised at all if these countries that I just mentioned will take radioactive materials from Ukraine, build atomic bombs, and then bring back atomic bombs. And I remind you, a few weeks ago, Times published article according to which Kyiv regime potentially can build not just one or two or dozen, but hundreds of these basic atomic bombs. That's how many, that's the volume of radioactive materials that Kyiv regime allegedly has in its disposal. So that's what worries me, dear friends, that if Russia will continue to exercise this restraint, then well, Western ruling class will of course authorize next phase of escalation. It's only a matter of time in that case, and this next level of escalation will be transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear armed regime. And as I said, at that point on, from that point on, we will face risks of not just these long-range strikes deep into Russian territory with drones and missiles, but also risks of atomic strike, nuclear strike on us. So to prevent this, strong action need to be taken right now, so that Western ruling class will realize that Moscow really had enough. But yet again, question is how Russian leadership reads big picture. What is their understanding of their situation? They have more news, right? They have more information that I will ever have, right? They have all the classified information that there is. And I hope their decisions will be enough to deter Western ruling class from this next phase of escalation. But I don't know. We will find out. We will find out. Unfortunately, until now, actions of Moscow did not deter Western ruling class for constant escalation, and I'm afraid if action are not taken to put pressure on Western elites, they will go on with this next phase of escalation, with nuclear escalation. Even if Trump himself, by the way, and his inner circle are against these long-range missile strikes on Russia, and well, according to his statements during the interview with the Time magazine, he is against these long-range strikes, but yet again, true decision makers in the Western world are clearly have a different opinion on that, right? And when it comes to Trump, by the way, during that interview with Time magazine, he was repeatedly asked about Ukraine, if he is going to abandon Ukraine. Some provocative question, a stupid question, really. How are you gonna abandon Ukraine? It's not some sort of monopoly game or stuff, isn't it? US is involved big time in this proxy war against Russia, and it will take time to withdraw US from this operation. It cannot happen in a single day, and basically Trump answered on that question that he wants agreement to be reached on Ukrainian crisis, and therefore, of course, he is not going to abandon Ukraine or pull out US from this proxy war immediately. He did not use these words, proxy war, but we all know what is going on, right? So, of course, US will back Kyiv regime even when Trump is in office. And as I said, dear friends, if Russia will not deter Western ruling class, true decision makers in the Western world, right now in next several weeks maximum, then I'm afraid when Trump will get to office, we will see even further escalation. Most likely, we will see further escalation. Not the escalation that many people hopes for, but we will see further escalation, and eventually next phase, which is going to be nuclear one. We will find out. We will find out, by the way. TASS news agency is also reporting that, well, according to sources of Wall Street Journal, Trump and his inner circle is considering European troops to be deployed as a sort of peacekeepers to monitor ceasefire once ceasefire will be achieved between Moscow and Kiev. And yet again, dear friends, whenever I see this type of information, first thing that comes to my mind is trap. This is all mind games, by the way. This is all media operation. This is all traps that are created by Western ruling class on top of each other, right? Plenty of traps. Like, for example, it is a trap, in my personal opinion, to think that once Trump is in office, then situation will become, little easier because he will start de-escalating straight away. This is a mistake. He will not de-escalate nothing, right? This is trap to think that way, because that's narrative that was created by Western propaganda, right? And this is another trap that, once ceasefire is achieved, then European troops should be deployed as a sort of peacekeepers. Really? NATO troops as a peacekeepers? No, man. No. And at least until now, Russian leadership was very clear, in statements at least, that for Russia, freezing of this conflict is absolutely unacceptable. And for Russia, also absolutely unacceptable presence of NATO troops in Ukraine, right? I can go a little specific on that. I guess Russia has, or used to have at least, I don't know what is going to happen, but I was reading statements of Russian leadership as if Moscow will be Moscow will be against deployment of NATO troops in Ukraine, with the exception of western parts of Ukraine. Rest of Ukraine is out of question. Western Ukraine, maybe, because, as I said many times before, I don't think many people in Russia really cares about Western Ukraine, because that part of this former Soviet Republic used to be part of Poland, Czechoslovakia, before Hungary, then Romania also. So therefore, I guess Polish people, Hungarian people, Romanians have more sentiments in regards to that western parts of Ukraine than Russian citizens do. But when it comes to rest of the territory of this former Soviet Union, this is Russian, historical Russian territory, right? And of course, Moscow, as far as I understand, will never agree NATO troops to be deployed there. So that's why I think all these talks about deployment of European so-called peacekeepers and all these talks about immediate ceasefire, and that this is trap. This is trap, and Moscow should be very careful not to end up in this trap. Let's continue. And meanwhile, Vzhlyad newspaper is reporting that head of Zelensky's office, Andrei Yermak, made a statement that Kyiv is against any negotiations for now, because he thinks Ukraine have to be in a stronger position to start negotiations. And I guess, dear friends, this statement, Yermak, of course, knows perfectly well that Ukraine will never be in a stronger position if Western ruling class will not allow Kyiv regime to become nuclear. Only way Kyiv regime may feel that they are in a stronger position is if Western ruling class will allow them to become nuclear armed regime, which will be kind of game changer, obviously, because once your enemy has nuclear weapons, then that changes all the calculus, right? Because it's nuclear weapons. You cannot ignore that, right? And that's why I'm saying that Russia should take all the necessary steps right now before EU regime become nuclear one. And I guess that's why Yermak and Zelensky and all that bunch of criminals, Western proxies basically, or US proxies, are making such statements that they don't care about peace right now. They're gonna get in a stronger position and then they will talk. I guess that's exactly what they are hoping for, that Western ruling class will provide them with their opportunity to become a nuclear armed regime. And in that point, yes, unfortunately, these proxies of the West will be in a stronger position. Otherwise, there is no way Kyiv regime may improve its positions on the battlefield or elsewhere, right? It's just not possible. But if Kyiv regime becomes a nuclear armed, then of course that will change everything. So so many indicators, by the way. As I said, I grew up in journalism, by the way, and I read those patterns, right? I can see when new narrative is created, I just can see it, because this kind of stuff don't happen randomly, right? And the Western ruling class start working on this new narrative of Kyiv regime becoming nuclear quite a while now. And I start talking about such risks almost immediately, right? So we will see, by the way. Interfax is reporting that Moscow transferred to Hungary's embassy Russian proposal about exchange of POWs. And this is Russian response on initiative of Prime Minister of Hungary on a Christmas ceasefire and exchange of POWs. Zelensky's regime declined ceasefire straight away. Zelensky himself, I believe, spoke about it. Therefore, of course, Moscow. There is no need for Moscow to basically comment anything on the topic of ceasefire. But when it comes to exchange of POWs, Russian side is open for that, and their proposal was given to Hungary's embassy. I guess embassy will already informed Budapest about this Russian proposal, and we will find out if Kiev regime will agree to exchange POWs in upcoming days before New Year and Christmas, New Year celebration. Kommersant newspaper is also reporting that Blinken, outgoing head of U.S. State Department, made an announcement about yet another military aid package for Kiev regime. This is the third one in the last 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it? And this time, this military aid package is will worth about $500 million. Money is raining, by the way, isn't it, for corrupt officials in the West, corrupt officials in Kiev, and also for military-industrial complex, Western military-industrial complex. I mean, hundreds of millions or billions, at this point, hundreds of billions are flying away like it's peanuts, which is crazy, but that's the time that we are living, by the way. And as a confirmation of what I just said, this news here from TASS news agency that Kiev regime is expecting to receive before end of this year, in next couple of weeks, $8.5 billion US. In addition, on top of what they already received, 8.5 billion. I mean, that's a quite significant New Year's present for Zelensky. Can you imagine how much stuff he can buy and his corrupt officials there? Although, of course, from this sum, if the regime will receive eventually this money, significant part will go back to bank accounts of Western corrupt officials and their military-industrial complex anyways. But at least a couple of billions will go to these corrupt officials in Ukraine also, I guess. At least several hundred. Okay. Unbelievable. And when it comes to money, by the way, when it comes to money for Kiev regime, we have this report that foreign ministers of Germany, France, Italy, Poland, Spain, United Kingdom confirmed their intent to provide Kiev regime with their credit for $50 billion US. So yes, another 50 billion on top of all the other money that already was allocated for Kiev regime, formally for Kiev regime. Okay, and Western ruling class or Western elites will try, of course, to compensate or to secure this loan, 50 billion loan, with frozen Russian assets, obviously. How else, isn't it? Meanwhile, by the way, RT is reporting that NATO tells member states to divert social spending to militaries. And this is not a joke, by the way. This was stated by Rutte, newly appointed head of NATO. So European members of NATO need to cut welfare and direct more of their GDP to the military industrial complex in the name of safety. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has said. Rutte spoke at their event in Brussels, organized by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace as a US-based think tank. I know spending more on defense means spending less on other priorities, but it is only a little less. Rutte said on Thursday, on average, European countries easily spend up to a quarter of their national income on pensions, health, and social security systems. We need a small fraction of that money to make our defense much stronger and to preserve our way of life, he added. So yes, dear friends, This is pure madness, obviously, but they are so emboldened. They are so emboldened and they are so confident that people will say nothing, that people are under absolute control or mind of, they achieve absolute mind control over the majority of the public in the West, that they are saying quite part out loud and they have no care about it, right? So, who cares about you citizens? We have to spend more money on us, we have to enrich ourselves. We need more and more billions. That's what he's saying, really, right? And that's what they're gonna do, actually. That's what they are going to do. They are saying it openly, directly, that they will start cutting on support of citizens, and they will cut public spendings, and they will increase their spendings for military-industrial complex and for themselves, right? For lobbying such decisions, of course, military-industrial complex will pay them quite a good money. But anyways, dear friends, before I continue, let me notice that this project, this media project, is completely subscriber funded, truly independent, by the way, because you are funding this project, right? And as you can see, I have no advertise, nothing, right? So if you like my work, if you think I deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, if I am useful for community, please consider to support my work with a small donation through PayPal or Boosty platforms, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can support through crypto also. All the links are under this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And many thanks to everybody who supported and continues to support. Without you, of course, this project would vanish long time ago. So thank you very much. Let's continue with some more news. And Glad newspaper is reporting that Israel began withdrawal of its forces from Lebanon after achieving truth ceasefire with Hezbollah. Time to time there are reports that both sides are opening fire on direction of each other, but seems like this ceasefire is holding, at least for now. Also, RT is reporting that Israel is preparing to strike Iranian nuclear sites, according to media. So the Israeli Air Force is carrying out preparations for potential strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Military officials have told the Times of Israel. West Jerusalem believes that their surprise takeover of Syria by jihadist rebels has weakened Tehran's positions in the region, which could prompt Iran to speed up its atomic program, the outlet said. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes have taken out most of Syria's air defense, clearing the way for an operation against Iran. Tehran has long insisted that its nuclear program is peaceful and civilian in nature, contrary to allegations by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that Iran has sought an atomic bomb. In 2015, the world's top 5 nuclear powers struck a deal with Iran to monitor its nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief, but the US unilaterally withdrew from this agreement in 2018. Okay, we all know that. And well, this is bad news, obviously. This is bad news because well, seems like Western ruling class is back to the square one when it comes to provoking regional war in the Middle East. They're gonna try again. Recently, we saw escalation between Israel and Iran with their exchange, with sides exchanging direct strikes on each other. But for last at least several weeks, we see sort of de-escalation. And now this report that Israel is preparing yet another strike on Iran. Well, that's not gonna go down well, isn't it? And if if Israel strikes Iran, I guess Iran's response is going to be absolutely devastating for Israel. But yet again, I mean, Netanyahu and his associates may be drunk with not just emboldened but also drunk with the sort of successes that they had by achieving regime change in Syria, destroying with basically impunity Gaza Strip, Lebanon, and they might make a fatal mistake by attacking Iran. But we will see. We will see. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that, well, Netanyahu is talking about Iran also, and how Iran gonna be free soon, and how Israel gonna build good friendly relationships with this free Iran. He's talking about regime change, obviously, and by the way, it is obvious for everybody, I guess, that once Trump will get to office, Israel will receive everything they want, right? Israeli leadership, all the assistance that US can provide. No questions about that. And I guess under influence of Zionists, Trump's administration will divert US assets in the region, and also US secret services to be focused on regime change in Iran. So therefore, it is almost inevitable that Iran will face very significant challenges in upcoming months and years. That's for sure. That's for sure. We will find out if current leadership of Iran, with if Iranian society will stay united, and if they will withstand challenges that they will face. But it is obvious that Western ruling class will create plenty of problems for Iran. That's for sure. TASS news agency is also reporting that in Jordan, on 14th of December, there will be summit of the Arab countries, and the main topic of discussion will be Syria, situation in Syria. Well, too little too late, isn't it? Too little too late. Maybe Arab countries are waking up to a new reality when Syria, most of Syria, including capital, is controlled by Turkey now. And if you take into account that relationships between Arabs and Turks are not really at best right now, and never was great. Let's be real here. I guess Arab countries are beginning to start worrying about their own future, right? Leaderships of these Arab countries like Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, United Arab Emirates. I mean, and they have reason to worry, because I believe residents of these countries are not really happy with how their political leadership, acted when Israel was basically obliterating Gaza Strip and then Lebanon. Well, Turkey will definitely try to build up on current success and further increase its influence in the Muslim world, and it is going to be challenging for Arab countries to deter Turkey, at least for now. We will see. We will see. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, according to CBS, Xi Jinping will not attend inauguration of the Trump, even though he was invited, as I reported yesterday. Not surprised, by the way. I said straight away that most likely China will send some delegation, but Xi Jinping himself probably will, not go into US to attend this ceremony. And well, I guess I was correct, because that's what CBS is reporting, that according to its sources, Xi Jinping is not going to attend that event. US, by the way, meanwhile, is imposing more sanctions on Georgia, on Georgian officials and number of even civilians, public figures, let's say this way. And this is all done, by the way, of course, in framework of preparations for a final push to overthrow Georgian government, because tomorrow Georgian parliament, newly elected Georgian parliament, will have to elect a new president. And we have this report that current president, Salome Zurabishvili, whose presidential mandate will expire on 16th of December, plans to basically lead the charge against parliament, not to allow MPs to elect a new president. She already stated that she is not backing down. She will not leave the office even after 16th of December. So yes, we are observing now these final preparations for a regime change in Georgia. Unfortunately, this time, unlike previous attempts, this time Western ruling class is really seriously invested in this process, and therefore I'm afraid there is a risk that assets of Western ruling class in Georgia, including current president Zurabishvili, so-called opposition, non-governmental organizations, and media that paid and controlled by the West, will manage to overthrow government, or some bloody provocations to be expected, because there is many similarities with the Maidan, isn't it, in Georgia. And if you remember, in 2014, these extremists killed more than 100 people before they actually overthrow Yanukovych, and they justify this action with that bloodshed. And of course, they blame Yanukovych for that, right? And I'm afraid something similar might happen in Georgia, some bloody provocations, terrorist attacks, or something like that. And most likely, a significant number of criminals that undergo preparation in Kyiv-controlled territory already are in Georgia and waiting for orders to act. So very difficult times ahead of Georgia, for sure, especially next several days. If Georgian society stand united, strong, if Georgian government will stay united, if Georgian security forces will stay out of politics, then of course there is a chance that Georgia will withstand this existential threat that Western ruling class is creating for Georgia by pushing this regime change. But if society is not united, if cracks appear in society due to some provocations of the radicals, Western-controlled radicals, if cracks appear in government, ruling party, and if security services will, at some point get involved in these processes, basically, then of course situation gonna deteriorate very fast. That's for sure. We will find out. We will find out soon. Few more news, dear friends. RT is reporting that US issues new ultimatum to Maduro. Senior US diplomat has rejected Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's claim of victory in the July election and urged him to resign and allow power transition while threatening further sanctions if he fails to do so. The Venezuelan leader should step down before his current term ends or things will get worse, US envoy said. Okay, okay. Threats, I mean, that's the only language that US is using nowadays, right? Threats, intimidation, blackmail, you know. I don't know about Venezuela much, by the way. I know it's the richest country when it comes to oil reserves. All right. It has huge potential, but when it comes to Maduro's government, I don't really know how popular he is. I can assume that he is not really that effective manager because Venezuela is experiencing immense crisis, economical crisis, of course. Although some may argue that this crisis is created by the US, right, by Western ruling class, and their illegal sanctions and their provocations of the assets of the West in Venezuela, and that also may be true, right? But in any case, I don't think it is US's business to intervene in Venezuela's internal affairs. Let people of Venezuela decide, right? Anyways, RT is reporting that Russia and India strike largest ever energy deal, according to Reuters news. So Russia's state energy giant Rosneft has agreed to supply nearly 500,000 barrels per day of various crude grades to Indian private refiner Reliance. Reuters reported on Thursday, citing its sources, worth roughly $13 billion a year at the current prices. The energy deal is the biggest ever between Moscow and New Delhi, the outlet said, and this is good news, by the way. Great. Despite all the pressure that New Delhi is experiencing, India is experiencing, Indian businesses from the West, from the collective West, to cut ties with Russia, India is withstanding this pressure clearly, and that's the clear demonstration of that biggest ever energy deal between the sides. So good news. Of course, more to come, because this cooperation, bilateral cooperation, is profitable for both sides. So why not? Why should Washington decide what Indian and Russian businesses should do and not? It's not none of the Washingtons or London's or Brussels business, right? So it is what it is. And finally, dear friends, I'll give you this news that 18-year-old Indian GM Grandmaster Gukesh Domarajo become world's champion in chess. So congratulations to Gukesh and congratulations to Indian people. This young man is a superstar, by the way, in chess, of course. And India has a great school, by the way, great school chess, great chess school, of course. And I'm not at all surprised. That Indian is becoming a world champion again. Well deserved, by the way. Well deserved. So congratulations. I love chess, by the way. I play time to time on chess.com. Although I'm, of course, nowhere near to masters or grandmasters. Currently, my score on chess.com is 850 or something. I started playing on chess.com relatively recently, and I'm still struggling to remember. When I was a kid, I was playing chess, but much better than I do now. And I was thinking, maybe in 1 2 weeks time, in a month's time, I will remember some moves, uh, but it definitely needs more time. But I am, more I play, better I play. So yes, I love this game. It's a wonderful game, by the way, and so I pay attention whenever there is some major news in this field. Once again, congratulations to Gukesh, to India, to Indian people. Great success, great success. And I'm gonna end this update, by the way, on this positive news. A relatively long update, but hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary. And if you can, please share information or videos, by the way, of mine with your friends on internet or in a real life. This is the only way we can at least try to influence algorithm that is extremely unfair and aggressive. And finally, as I already said, if you like my work, if you think I deserve to be presented in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support this project. All the links on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.